face. Welcome to Friday Night with Anthony White. I am Anthony White, the orange tie guy, and I think I need to readjust my video camera as I've been moving things around. It's kind of been ruining, if anything, my stage here. But I wanted to talk to you guys about something tonight. Like I said, I am Anthony White, the orange tie guy, and I'm actually doing this because I think a lot of people don't realize or don't know, I guess would be the better way of saying it, exactly why I do what I do. There's so many people that try to figure out and try to understand, okay, well, what is it that you're doing? Like, are you selling something? Are you, trying to teach people something? Like what's going on? Like, what's the deal with you? Well, the thing is that I specifically am focused and wanting to be able to change the world in the aspect of relationships. So I'm a life coach. I'm someone who's passionate about serving other people. So the biggest thing that I like to do is to be able to coach, to encourage, to be able to give perspective to other people. Well, one of the biggest things that I have focused my time and energy on is really that of relationships. So I've got three passions, right? So my first passion is my faith, my religion, the gospel that I belong to, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And my second one is instruction. I'm very much a fan of instruction, hence the reason why you can actually see on my page here, you can see the app that I'm using. And it's because I'm very fond of basically teaching people how to do things. Well, for today's purpose, what I want to delve into is a little bit more on the dating side of things, basically instructional design or a task analysis when it comes down to the details of how to do something. But before that, I want to get into why I do what I do. So I'm 40 years old as of this recording, and I am single again. As much as I like that title, I don't like it. I like the fact of being able to get to know someone better, to be able to build a relationship that is lasting, and in my opinion, whether you want to call it everlasting or eternal, it's to be able to have that relationship kind of in the stars. I'm, I guess, a romantic in the sense that I like those love stories that seem real or that can be real. One of my favorite movies is Stardust. And it's probably because there's a lot of action going on in there, and it's really cool to be able to see people that are going through basically a relationship where they don't know each other, but then as they start to serve and help each other, they actually start to fall in love with each other. In addition to that, it's kind of got battles, people that are trying to fight each other and whatnot. And if you don't know what Stardust is, which you probably don't, how dare you if you don't know it, but let me go here and let me actually pull this up so you can know exactly what Stardust is. Because this is one of those movies that, like I said, it's kind of like The Princess Bride, right? A lot of people don't necessarily know a lot about Princess Bride or the details there, but let me show you exactly what this is, and maybe I can change my screen to show. Let's see here. Let's go to Google Chrome and let's go to Stardust right here. All right. So you can see what Stardust is, and maybe I just need to change my screen or my window so it's not so huge, so you guys can see more of the specific details right there. So anyway, so Stardust is this movie, and you can look it up another time, but it's a 2007 basically fantasy-esque movie. But it's still about a relationship. It's about these two people that kind of, and it's kind of got the cosmic fantasy, action, romance. It's kind of got it all. Like I said, it's in my opinion, a Princess Bride, another 2 decades after Princess Bride. But again, it comes back to this origin of, okay, where does, celestial dating come from? Well, let's go back to this. So celestial dating is actually originated from my experience of going through college and having an experience where I wanted to date girls, but the issue kind of became that they didn't know what dating was. So for me, um, I was basically in Hawaii. So Brigham Young or BYU, Hawaii, is where I was at, right? And I basically wanted to date. And the key thing about here is that I wanted to date, but the sad truth is that a lot of them didn't know what a date was. And in fact, it kind of became an issue because when I would ask a girl on a date or I would hear about it, because you don't go into some, foreign terrain, area and not know how or things work, right? So basically, I wanted to date. That was my goal, but I was basically brand new, and I would say didn't know, and I'd say anything about culture, and that's the truth of it. And with me being brand new, not knowing anything about the culture, I didn't know that in a lot of different cultures, dating means something else. So dating, or I should say a date, equals, and I would probably say, I wouldn't give it about 70 because there are 70 different countries that were represented there, but I would probably easily give it about 24 different meanings. Like, that's just the truth. And like, for example, if one of them would probably say simple enough that let's say one of them was one-on-one relationship, and that was courtship, or at least this is my definition of courtship. It was exclusive dating is really what it was. And that's ultimately what it was. I ask, Sierra on a date, and instantly we're a thing. It's like, what? That was totally different for me. Other people, a date meant, or it was a translation of what they would say, getting a drink. And that right there is that non-committal way of being able to say, hey, let's go and do something together, but it's not really like a thing together. It's just to go get a drink. And it's like, okay, whatever that means. Okay, so we're going to go get a drink. Great, let's go get a drink. But it's interesting because, again, these verbiage, this concept, this mindset was completely different. It was very foreign, and it was like, I don't know what's happening. This is really weird. So one of the biggest things that kind of popped up into my head is that, I wanted a date. I didn't know anything. And so because I was brand new and didn't really know anything at all, like literally, it was a big issue because, let's see here if I can get into this, and I'm not there because technically we got to go right here, and I want to start this new thing. And this is what I've learned to understand. When things are new for you or for anybody, and it's basically fear of the unknown, right? You could be ignorant or feel or think that you're ignorant of things, and that's fine. Ignorance is bliss is kind of an over, simplification is really what it is. If you're wanting to succeed, if you're wanting to thrive, if you're wanting to be able to just be you and just escalate and, like I said, succeed, grow, improve, whatever verbiage identification you want to actually put to it, you still need to have this idea, this concept, this perspective of being able to, let me get my mic out of my way here so it's not too loud for you guys when you're listening. But you have to know what's going on, right? Well, clearly fear of the unknown, you don't know what's going on. So fear, right? We've got the ignorance is ultimately that, right? Ignorance. You got doubt, right? And it's even that is intimidation. Intimidation. If I can do that correctly. Intimidation. Hopefully I'm spelling that correct. But you still have this. This is in your mind. This is kind of just there, and you're figuring out, okay, so what's going on? How do I do this? How do I succeed at this? Like, I'm kind of trying to figure out what's happening here. Well, I find it fascinating, and a lot of you might not have a clue why I have, Depeche Mode right there. So let's get this out of the way here. It's actually a perfect song when it comes to like relationships, but we're not there yet. So we're going to get past that for right now. So we go to this whole concept, right? This whole idea, again, you're brand new, you're afraid, you're ignorant, you doubt maybe your abilities about other people, whatever the situation is, you're intimidated, right? There's like, oh my goodness, there's so much here, right? Frustration, whatever, anything you really want to know. But honestly, I would even put like ignorance, for example. I'd put this one, if we were going to select it, that really is just, that's where ignorance is. Ignorance and doubt and intimidation, like those are all just fear. You're afraid. That's the truth of it, right? So when we come to this concept, this idea, we're afraid. We don't know what's going on. We're trying to figure out what's happening here. Well, that was me, right? I was asking girls on dates or wanting to, and that's the thing, is my desire was to do that. Couldn't ask them on dates. Why? So it took me my entire school life to try to figure out, what does this mean? And that's really the problem. So my problem really was, in the essence, it was simply saying, in essence, what is a date? That was the question. Because I wanted a date, right? So I wanted a date, I wanted to get to know people better, and that's the problem. Nobody could answer that for me. It was a big old problem, so it doesn't matter what it says here. It's the fact that straight up, what's a date? Don't know. Nobody knew. I'm going to put that in there so that we can do that. I'm going to shut that so nobody knows what's what. So what is a date? Okay, that's the problem. In fact, I would even go into here if I have these abilities, which I probably don't, to actually show here, this is my problem. What is a date? Wanted to date, but what is a date? So then we come to this whole understanding, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Not just that, there comes the other issue. The other issue is I don't know how to do. And I'm going to put this, and I'm going to put also date in this culture or this place. And then comes the next thing, not just I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to do this. It comes down to I need better information. And I would not even just put better information. I need better / more information. So my goal, my purpose, my intention was to figure out, okay, what does this mean? When other people say, hey, you want to go out or do you want to do something? Great, that works. I was there for, I think, 2 years is what it was. Was there 2 years? A year and a half. And then I went on a date with one girl, and it was almost like, and I think she asked me out. Yeah, she asked me out. Her name's Sarah. So Sarah asked me on a date. I went on a date and I enjoyed it. But guess what? She was going home back to Utah. I was in Hawaii. And it's like, what the heck? That stinks. I don't even get the opportunity to get to know her better. And here's what's funny. I think she asked me out knowing full well she was leaving to go back to Utah because she had nothing to fear. If I said no when she asked me out, okay, cool. Well, I liked her. I enjoyed getting to know her. And then as that time went on, and progressed, I slowly got to know her a little bit better. I think I came back to Utah for a couple months. We kind of, or she went back to school. I can't remember. We started a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, the whole courtship thing and whatnot. But here's what's interesting. Then that ended. And then when I wanted to go on another date with somebody else to get to know them, here's the problem. There was no interpretation of that. Here's a fascinating truth, though. I came to recognize that when I went home to Utah, people there in Utah still didn't know what that meant. What is a date? They don't know. Because here's what's funny, and it's actually kind of sad, and I'm in process of creating my PowerPoint presentation. And I'm just going to go here to, I want to do this as a preview. So let's do this. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Oops, definitely don't want to do it that way. Come on. There we go. So here's where it comes down to something that was super fascinating in my mind. I was struggling because a lot of people don't recognize or realize that this is the truth about most of what we come across. And it's the fact that so many people think very differently. And here's where my specific details were. And let me go to PowerPoint. Let me go to presenter view. Is that if somebody goes and asks you, hey, I want to, that's the wrong view. I need to go to the slide view. See, because I'm giving away slideshow. There we go. Somebody asks, hey, will you go out with me? Right? Because we're all in COVID times, right? So, hey, will you go out with me? And guess what? It's funny because in her mind, this is the sad truth, right? You tell me if it's accurate or not. But she thinks, oh my goodness, he wants to marry me. Now, this is not uniform, right? It's interesting because I've recognized in a latter-day culture, this is what I've seen for the majority. Unless people have resolved it, when a guy is asking a girl on a date, hey, will you go out with me? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, he wants me to have his babies. No, it's not. Not even close to that. So I kind of come to this recognition, okay, the biggest problem that we run into is that somebody says one thing and they mean it. Like, hey, I want to get to know you, etc., but they put it in one phrase, right? Will you go out with me? And then somebody else is completely thinking something completely different. That's messed up. In fact, that's highly less effective. So for me, what I come down to is, okay, I need more information. Well, here's where we come into that big problem, is that when we come to this and we think I need better information, the question is, how do I get, and I'm going to put it like this, I want to say this, and I'm going to say better information. How do I get this better information, right? Well, here's the interesting thing is, I have gone out to look and define this information. I read scriptures, take it from basically the most loving types of people that are out there, kindest people out there. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but let me try and see what we can do for you here. And I take it from everybody. So basically I survey, right? How do I get this better information? I'm going to put here, let's actually make sure that we've got this. So this better information I got from Come on here. I'm going to say basically case studies from, I'm going to say glorious relationships. Because truly, in my opinion, they were glorious relationships. I took it from books. I'm going to say well-known professionals. Because I think very few professionals and their research studies and findings. Also, personal experience. So I ask questions, right? I ask them. I ask others about good and bad relationships, and I'm going to put here, and found common themes. And this was honestly the best thing that I could have done, because this has taken 25 years of what I've been hoping for, wanting, longing for, and finally it came to a head. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I'm so excited. So that's how I got it, right? How do I get this better information? Case studies from glorious relationships. So these great people who have these awesome relationships that, again, I would say are celestial, in my opinion. Not just that, books and texts, right? Not just an article or a blog or something like that. But I mean, I have 1,000 books in my library, and a lot of them have to do with, well, I shouldn't say, well, yeah, a lot of them. I wouldn't say majority, but I'd probably say easily 20 to about 25% of those are on relationships. And it's, again, a passion of mine. So when it comes down to it, 200 to 250 books that are about relationships. And then not just that, it's also just my personal experience, not just experiences that I've had, but also that other people have had that they've been willing to share with me. And not just that, it's also, when it comes to it, just asking people about those relationships. All right, so this needs to be, yeah, needs to show that. There we go. Oh, why are you not wrapping your text? I don't like that. Anyway, so basically, I found common themes, right? Other people's bad, good experiences, all those common themes. So that's how I found this. That's how I got this. This is information, and this is me recognizing and identifying, okay, I've got a problem. I need a solution. So guess what I've done? I started a business around this, and all I do is I just give people a solution. They've got a problem. And so I did that. Great. In fact, I talked about this nonstop. People hate the term celestial dating when they're around me, or people that know me personally, because I talk about it all the time. In fact, I go on groups and I basically say, yeah, you need to be celestial dating. Like, this is what you need to do. The origin came because I just wanted to get to know a girl. I just wanted to go out with her. And guess what? If I don't like her or she doesn't like me, there's no obligation, right? Our time together is just brief. 30 minutes, an hour. I mean, when you're in college and you're in a small little college town in Laie, Hawaii, you know, you have 2,700 students that are on the campus, 2,400, 27, somewhere around there. And in the little city that's there, I mean, it's probably no bigger than 5 square miles. Like, honestly, it's like you're going to run into each other, but you don't want it to be awkward, right? If they don't like you, you don't like them, as far as a relationship, not as a person, but it's like, yeah, no, this ain't going to work, right? And it came to a point where you couldn't even ask people on dates. And so there was little to no dating, because it was like, oh my goodness, Anthony went out with Sierra. Oh, they're together. And then let's say I go out and ask Leah on a date, and all of a sudden she's like, wait a second, aren't you with Sierra? It's like, what? What do you mean by that? Like, that's a problem, huge problem. So the origin came about that. I came back to Utah, found the same thing in the same like religious like denomination, the faith-based common culture. Guess what? Doesn't work. You know why? Is because guess what? Maybe I'm watching Breaking Bad, right? And it's like all of a sudden I'm bringing that into my culture. It doesn't matter what my faith is, right? Maybe I'm somebody else or is watching what is it, like something about the dead, The Walking Dead, right? And like they're thinking in that mentality. Maybe somebody, you know, loves what is it, Hallmark Channel, and they're always thinking some fairy tale type thing, right? Somebody's always on Disney Plus or this or whatever it is. We're inserting all of this information around us, and we're inserting it and thinking, and then we try and create this thing that's deformed. I wish I had something ugly to like show you guys that's around here. You know, here, I'll do this. Technically, this thing right here, it's for like, you know, scratching your scalp, right? But what if all of a sudden I come out and I'm like, oh, this is so great, and I offer it to somebody and they're like, why are you giving me a spider looking thing with a handle? It's like, because it's so great and you're gonna love it and it's gonna be precious and it's all about a relation. What? Like, people don't know what's going on because their interpretation through their eyes, through their mind, through their whatever it is completely different than what yours is. So we need a common ground. This origin came from, we need a common ground. That's the simple truth of it. So right here, coming back to this, let's scroll down, because what is this? Need a better information. So we came to, how do I get this better information? But right here, resolution. The resolution here is simple enough, and that is equals common understanding / ground. That's what it is. That's the resolution. So I've come to recognize this. Okay, so a common resolution, common ground is like playing a game, right? So we got to create a board like a game. And I'll just say, instead of creating a board, let's say create a platform. A platform. And I'll say board like a game. Because not everybody understands games like board games, for example. They don't really care about it, right? I'm a fan of board games personally, but it depends on the board game, etc., yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is that not everybody's going to understand that. So I'm wondering, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm curious if you watch this. Leave a comment, because I think I'm going to approach celestial dating and teach it like a game. Let's play the celestial dating game, right? Because that's it right there, celestial dating game. And the cool thing about the celestial dating game is it's going to have a few things, and I don't want this to be over 30 minutes, which it's getting to right here, but it is simply this. So first thing is we have the rules, right? Rules / instructions, right? Then we've got players. Then we've got the game, what are they? Tools, I guess. The game tools. I don't even know how to say that. Like pawns and cards. I'm going to say like cards, pieces, player, I would say tokens, and I'm going to say etc. So we've got those, right? And then we've got strategy. We got strategy. We've also got types of gameplay. And we'll just say like co-op, or I'm going to say, because this is in the gamer, player versus player, PvP, or solo. You know? And that's the thing, is types of gameplay. This is how you approach celestial dating, or can, and I think this might be the most effective way for me to teach it to other people, is because in a strategy game, like for example, Dominion is one that, or Settlers of Catan, right? You have strategy of how to play if somebody's like defeating you or whatever. Well, how am I going to win? How am I going to get so many points? How am I going to do this, whatever, right? Or like for me, I have a card game called And It Came to Pass, or It Came to Pass. And sometimes you have this card and you play it, and all of a sudden you're in a secret combination with somebody else, and your purpose is to use one hand and to defeat everybody else. So you have to couple up. You were enemies, and now you're partners, working off the same hand to strategically defeat everybody else. And so for me, it's like, okay, this is going to change. So how do you approach this? Here's the problem. Everybody is playing a different game, and that's the problem, right? So I'm going to put here currently, because this is accurately portrayed. Currently, everyone is playing a different game with different, let's see here, tools, equipment. That's the word. And we'll say here, and then currently they are not on the same field / board. What does that mean? That means that I could be playing croquet. Let's get rid of the whole board game thing, but let's say like sports wise. I could be playing croquet and I'm on a tennis court, and somebody else has got, and the other person, so the woman I'm dating or wanting to take on a date, is playing or has football gear on. Seriously? Like, I'm dressed and ready for croquet with a croquet mallet. She's got football pads on, and she's, we're on a tennis court. So it's not even like, what the heck? Seriously? And that's the problem. Everybody is on a different plane. Everybody is. And you very rarely, and this is true in the simplest form, rarely on the same page, on the same field, with the same equipment, prepared the same, play the same game, by the same rules. Like, that's the truth. Everybody has different, rules or instructions, different players, the way that they approach things, different tools, or I should say equipment, right? And it's the same thing, different strategies, different everything. Because like I said before, and like I mentioned before, it's the same concept when it comes down to, let's say specifically, me asking the simple question. Let's go back here, slideshow. All I did was ask her, will you go out with me? And all of a sudden, oh my goodness, he wants me to have his babies. Nope. Far from it. Not even close. Clearly not on the same page. Clearly we're not on the same anything. So here's what I need to help you understand. The best way that I can say anything, the best way that I can say is this. Celestial dating brings everything together. Everything. I want a celestial marriage. I want a celestial relationship. I want to be on a celestial plane. Meaning what? Up in the clouds, in the sky, happy, excited. How awesome would that be? And how euphoric, how blissful, if you want to even call it that. Does that mean we're problem free? No. Don't be stupid. I'm not. And it's a reality check of saying, okay, so then how do we resolve this? How do we get this? How do we understand that this is the way it is? This is the way it should be. This is ultimately what we're looking for. Well, friendship. Simplest, easiest way to answer that question is friendship. How do you make friends? Think about that. How do you make friends? Do you talk to them? Do you just randomly meet them online? Do you just kind of bump into them? Do you bully them first? Right? I think there was a movie I recently saw where there was a girl picking on a boy and it was because she liked him or something, right? It's like, what do you do? How do you make friends? And it's interesting to think about that. Well, I don't have any friends. Well, then you need to probably take an in-depth course with me, and it's going to cost you some money and some time of investment to be able to learn how to make friends, truth be told. But there are books out there if you're happy to do it on your own, how to win friends and influence people. Great, you can do that if you want, right? There's probably one that says how to make friends. Maybe I'll write it. But when it comes down to it, how do you make friends? Where do you make them? All of a sudden, who are you attracted to? Meaning, not in a sexual way or a romantic way. Who are you attracted to? Meaning, I want to spend more time with them. I want to get to know them better. I actually feel comfortable around them, or I feel like I'm not insecure or, uneasy, or whatever verbiage you want to put there. Like, how do you make friends? Think about that. Because that's the whole concept here, is finding someone that eventually, yeah, you want to marry. Yeah, you want to be with forever, right? Eternal companion. I think about that. Eternity is a long time, people. Long time. But what's that type of person? And here's another interesting thing about this. And this is awesome when you relate it to friends. Because friends is that fascinating truth where they can't fake it. Like, you can't fake a friendship. Like, there are very toxic relationships where one person is always trying to please the other so the other won't go away and they'll stay with them. It's called codependence, and I can talk about that another time. But the truth is that for you, you got to realize, okay, who are my real friends? These are people like when I'm sick, they reach out and say, hey, are you okay? When my dad dies, right? Or, let's say, I'm left out in the cold or something that, just pop into your head and it's like, hey, been thinking about you. How are you? Like, when it comes down to it, I'm a terrible friend when it comes to following up with people that way. Terrible. I need to be totally better. But it seems like I'm always thinking about serving the masses rather than the one, which I probably should just switch around. But I'm hoping that this can help even just one person. But it's reality for you. How do you make friends? Are you trying to please them all the time? Or are you in the process of figuring out and saying for yourself, you know what? Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I enjoy their company. I enjoy them. I want to be with them. And if you can honestly say, wow, you know what? You make it so easy for me to be your friend. Like, I actually look forward every time we do something, we hang out, we don't even have to do anything. We can just be around each other. And this means not kissing, cuddling, holding hands, because who likes that? Everybody likes that instant gratification, right? It's called hormones, people. Yeah, it also releases things like, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, like a lot of stuff. But it's, basically that addiction type stuff that's, ooh, I really like that. But here's the truth of it. I want to marry my best friend, but I've got to make friends along the way. And as I long to make those friends, I'm like, oh my goodness, she stands out. And then maybe she doesn't want to be my best friend. Okay, cool. Then I keep going along the way. Oh my goodness, she stands out. And as we get to know each other, oh my goodness, I think I found my best friend. But it's got to go both ways. Can't go one way because that's called codependence. That's something where you're always wanting to please them and they're not moving at all. They're not coming closer to you at all. It's the fact that you're not drawing closer to each other. It's like this person will stay still and then this person's trying to draw close and then this other person will, no, stop getting so close. That is not healthy. Not healthy. So, Origin came from simple, straight truth. We are not on the same page. None of us is. And if they say they are, guess what? You haven't lived their life. Truth is they may think, oh my goodness, you're wealthy. Or oh my goodness, you're hot. You know, we can be together and, cuddle all the time. What if you don't like sweaty people, or the other person doesn't like sweaty people and you sweat a lot? Well, that's out the door. The truth is that we need to get to know each other as friends. We need to be in that friend zone. That's the perfect zone to be in. The best zone to be in. Friend zone only. Because people who want instant gratification, guess what? They're going to leave you. Because that instant gratification and satisfaction is going to go when you get older, when you start to get, I don't know if you can see my bags, maybe my lights are too bright, but when you start to get wrinkles in your eyes and stuff like that, when your voice starts to go back, maybe you start getting acne or something like that, you start looking terrible, whatever it is, all of a sudden things change. And you're like, oh, yeah, they're not as attractive as they once were. People with celestial relationships, these glorious relationships, as I illustrated on my list, those people don't care if you got bags under your eyes. They don't care if you got epilepsy or MS or, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Parkinson's. They love you unconditionally. That's my goal. To find two people that can become best friends who love each other without condition. That doesn't matter how much money you make, where you live, what trials or problems come your way. Are you going to have problems and trials? Oh yeah. Welcome to mortality. Bring on the pain every day. You're not going to escape it. It's how do you address it? How do you work together on that? That's the goal. That's the concept. You got to get together. You got to work together. You got to become one together. And when you do, oh my goodness, all of a sudden you realize this relationship is actually valid. It's beneficial. It's uniformed. It's coming together, becoming a one. How awesome is that? Every single business would pay crazy amounts of money if everybody was on the same page, if everybody was in sync. That's what it is. Synchronizing. Everybody was on that same page together, planning ahead, working with each other, not against each other, or in, what do they call it? Or despite the other, or whatever it is, right? The idea is to come together, to be synchronized, to be uniform, to understand each other. Too bad we can't just do an awesome thing like Star Trek's Borg, right? They plug into your mind and we're all the same. Actually, that's more of controlling / manipulation / yeah. So no, not like that. But it's more of, again, hey, Matrix. Sure, maybe that's it. And stick something in the back of your head and, all of a sudden you're downloaded. Beep. And then, oh my goodness, I understand. I know where you're coming from. We can be together now. Yeah, that's not how it works. So celestial dating. The origin came about because of the chaos I lived through and still live through. And I want to get rid of the chaos. I want it to be understood that there's no fear. I have a buddy of mine that wrote Fearless Dating. It's exactly what I want. I want dating to be fearless, to build relationships. So that's my time. Thank you for joining me tonight, Friday night with Anthony White. I am Anthony White, the Orange Tie Guy. I hope this was beneficial, and thanks if you watched this all the way to the end, because I'm hoping it's got some benefit for you.